Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy MKS here, back here with another video. Welcome to part one of my shopping list for Christmas for Inter Milan. What I dream for Inter Milan to achieve or have or do by Christmas and beyond. And I hope you enjoy it. Last week I covered AC Milan, but because I'm mad, I love all the Italian teams, as I often mention. So a quote-unquote normal person would not cover both or support both, but because I love all the Italian teams pretty much equally, I thought I'd cover both. And as it's a Monday next week, I'm hoping to cover Monza, AC Monza, or Monza for short. But for today, I want to cover Inter Milan, or as they're sometimes called, Internazionale, due to the historical fact that they were international. One incentive, I hope people will enjoy these videos, and as many people as possible will check them out. But I suppose an incentive for people who want to see Italian football improve, and in this case specifically Inter Milan, and to check out these videos is if I get to monetize them, as I often say, I dream to donate as much of that money as possible, preferably all of it, to, in this case, Inter Milan. Any video with Inter Milan in the title or Internazionale. But yeah, I know I've covered these videos or these ideas a little bit in the past, but I thought I'd do them again, as it's the, as I keep saying, like the Christmas period, festive period, or whatever you want to call it. So I'm just trying to think of anything else I want to say in the intro. For once, I've actually managed to wake up early. It's actually 7 in the morning, for instance, and I've been up for like an hour or so, just making tea and brushing my teeth and all that kind of stuff. And just trying to prepare myself for this video. But as I say, I hope people out there enjoy it, and I hope as many fans of football, especially Inter fans or fans of Italian football generally, and as ever Celtic fans as well, check out these videos, and hopefully you'll see why, or hear why, by the end of this video. So I'm sure there's something I was going to say in the intro I often forget, but I'll probably include anything I've forgotten in the video itself. Yeah, here goes. So I say I'm covering this because it's a Monday, like Milan Mondays, and that kind of thing. So here are my dreams and my shopping list for Inter Milan for Christmas and beyond and into the future. So as I say, here goes. So number one, I often like to get the negatives out of the way. So I hope that this won't be too cringeworthy, and I'd love to be able to get these ideas started, but a lot of me fears that I won't be able to get, or part of me fears that I won't be able to get these ideas put into practice. So I hope I'll be proven wrong, and I'll be able to somehow promote these ideas and encourage all these people who I want to invest in well, I suppose it is a company, in the football club, the FC for short, Inter Milan. I hope somehow I can convince them to invest in the club, preferably, I suppose, because it's on a Monday as well, especially on Christmas Day itself. I'd love for investors to invest in all possible Italian teams, especially including AC Milan and Inter Milan, even though they're rivals, and Monza as well. AC and Inter Milan are obviously derby rivals for those who know about football. Another thing is I'd love to get people who are not interested in football into football, as I often say. I would say, due to my alliterations, this is, or use of alliterations rather, this is Milan Mondays, or part of Milan Mondays. Number two, I would love for people to find out things about Inter Milan, for instance, why it's called Inter, which is, to give a brief bit of the history, there used to be one team in Milan, and it split into two because AC Milan wanted to keep it just for Italians. When the Italian league decided to have, I think it was 2 leagues, one for teams that only have Italian players, and one for teams that have international and overseas players. And Inter Milan decided to go with the latter. So that's why they're called Inter Milan, short for Internazionale Milan. So people know them as Internazionale or Inter Milan. I suppose Internazionale would probably be short for Internazionale Milan, but I hope for, or Inter Milan is probably short for Internazionale Milan. I'd love for Inter Milan fans to talk about any facts or figures about the team. I suppose one fact is they play in the derby, if I can pronounce it right, La Madonnina, I think it's called, which is a Milan derby, obviously with possibly their main rivals, which are AC Milan. But also they're part of the Derby d'Italia, which is I suppose Italy's equivalent of Liverpool United or Celtic Rangers, which is between Inter Milan and Juventus. So there's a couple of facts about Inter Milan. But I'd love for Inter Milan fans to share more facts about their club, what it means to them, that kind of thing. As someone who supports Italian football generally, I'd love for people to find out about facts about Italian football more generalistically, if that's a word, and that sort of thing. Number 3, I would love for Inter Milan to be co-owned, like people to have shares or equity in the club, even, and to get as much sponsorship as possible, and to be co-owned by, I suppose, international companies or companies that begin with I, for instance, IBM, possibly also talking about international companies like the PIF. Now, the PIF said they were going to invest in Inter Milan. They sort of flirted with the idea, but for whatever reason, didn't get around to doing so. So I hope they will in the future. I hope Italian football will get its act together and attract that investment, become more attractable or attractive towards investors. So also I was thinking, like, if Elon Musk invested some of his personal money, again going on alliterations, if Elon Musk had his own investment vehicle, as I would call it, investment company or whatever, which invested in companies well, I'd love for him to invest in Empoli and Inter Milan with his own personal money. Obviously, it'd be foolish for him to spend all his money on a football team, but he could spend a certain amount, and because he's got so much money, he could risk quite a lot of that. So it'd be cool if I could meet Elon Musk and convince him somehow. Probably very shy. If I met him, I'd probably be like a bag of nerves or whatever you put it. But if I could meet Elon Musk, I would love to convince him to invest in Empoli and in Inter Milan. And that sort of thing. Number 4, I'd love for Inter Milan to look at how they could limit wars. Like, instead of, as I often say with Italian teams and Celtic as well, I would love for them to. I would love for there to be a consumer market, which somehow, maybe this is a pipe dream, as I often say, but since it's Christmas and I'm dreaming, I would love for, like, a consumer market that says if you invest in Italian football and or Celtic, instead of wars, will sort of reward you and buy from those companies. So it's like an opposite to a boycott, especially fans of Italian football around the world, hopefully in Italy, and people from the diaspora, my fellow Anglo-Indians or other Eurasians, or both, and maybe even neurodiverse people, buying from companies, and maybe others as well, buying from companies that invest in Italian football and Celtic. As I say, because I mentioned last week how I'd love for companies that begin with A, like Apple, Amazon, Alibaba, and others, to invest in AC Milan. And Elon Musk has a sort of rivalry with Jeff Bezos, but I don't approve of hate or anything like that. So I'd love it to be a friendly rivalry. But I was thinking, what if these companies compete with each other, like Elon Musk competed with Jeff Bezos, and Jeff Bezos had some shares in, through Amazon, had some shares in AC Milan, and Elon Musk had some shares in Inter Milan, so they had some sort of, I'd say, friendly sort of competition, see who can help their teams respectively win the most trophies domestically, and for me as a fan of Italian football, most importantly in Europe or internationally even. So which ones could get their teams to the top if they had a small shareholding each. So because I'd love for so many people to invest, or so many companies, or both, to invest in, so many people and companies to invest in Inter Milan in this case, having a small share each. But yeah, I'd love to see that friendly sort of rivalry, and also like IBM for Inter Milan, again going on my patterns. I often say this sort of thing, like 4 being the fourth in a sentence, so IBM for Inter Milan, PIF for Inter Milan, and that kind of thing. And also like ExxonMobil and big companies like that investing in Inter Milan would be a bit of a dilemma for me, because I probably disagree with a lot of things that they do, but I hope I don't put them off investing. But yeah, I'll probably forgive them a bit if they invest in Italian football, and I'd love for them to do that instead of wars and things like that. But I think that's covers point number 4. But yeah, I'd love for so Elon Musk, as I say, to have a friendly rivalry with Jeff Bezos, through like seeing which one can help AC Milan or Inter Milan respectively to get to back to the top and win things like the World Club Cup and things like European Cup or Champions League and World Club Cup and things like that. Number 5, I'd love to hear from Inter Milan fans and read comments on Inter Milan fans and what you would like to see, and whether you would support these videos and hopefully help me to monetize them so I can donate to or invest, well, donate to even Inter Milan. And on that note, I'd love to see if fans would be prepared to donate. Any Inter Milan fans out there would be prepared to donate to the club or have shares in the club or whatnot, and what rules there are on such things. So I'd love to see if it would be possible for Inter Milan fans to have shares in or even donate to the club or whatnot, or even a bit of both. So as I often say, instead of being ultras or instead of being involved in hooliganism, maybe the fans who are ultras could instead be involved in like coaching, learning about football so they can coach youngsters, improving their diets to lead as example, and even investing in and donating to even and having shares in the club. So I dream that they'll get that investment by Christmas, and then in the January transfer window, bring in the best possible players. So Inter Milan reached the Champions League season just gone, so it'd be interesting if those Italian teams that lost in the final, like Inter Milan, Fiorentina, and I remember the other team, that Roma, of course, that got to those finals. How could I forget? It was quite painful though because they lost in the final. It would be great if they invest in buying a few, improving the squad a bit so they could go and hopefully win those sort of competitions. Number 6, I hope they will be able to benefit Italian football generally as well. I know traditionally they're called Inter, as I say, because they because they're international, but I think it'd be cool if they could develop young Italian football players, as I dream for Italian teams generally to work with the FIGC, the Italian FA, in other words, to develop young Italian footballers. So hopefully they'll benefit not only their own club, but Italian football generally, including the national team, by developing good young Italian players as well as overseas players, and as well as buying the best overseas players. Hopefully they can develop the youth academy in the modern age as well, and things like help young people in Milan practice their football as much as possible. Number 7, I dream for, as I often say, Italian teams to have a partnership with Celtic. I was thinking actually, and I think I forgot, this was one point I forgot to mention earlier on, but I am wary as ever of repeating myself, as I often do, and I always apologise for repeating myself in videos, but so a lot of the ideas will be similar, but I'm hoping that some of the potential investors, for instance, and some of the ideas will be at least a little bit different. But I'd love for Italian teams to have a partnership with Celtic, and it's funny enough, Celtic were the first British team to win the equivalent of the Champions League. On that note, I'd love for Italian teams like Inter Milan to learn about Celtic and vice versa, and have those partnerships and learn facts about each other and things like that, and just generally learn from each other. But as I say, Celtic were the first British team to win the equivalent of the Champions League, or then the European Cup, in '67, and they beat Inter Milan. So it's kind of bittersweet whenever Celtic plays an Italian team. It's sort of a dilemma for me, although the Italian team kind of just shades it. And I prefer Celtic to do better domestically than your Italian teams do better in Europe or internationally, just generally. But yeah, so it was bittersweet, especially because Celtic broke the sort of monopoly of Latin teams apparently back then, which always used to win. So it's kind of bittersweet because I love Latin teams, especially Italian ones, just because I look Latin, or I think I look Latin. But yeah, so I'd love for them to learn from each other and hopefully help each other to practice at youth level, maybe even have a sort of friendly cup to sort of commemorate those sorts of matches they had, especially '67, between each other. But it'd be quite ironic if Celtic helped Inter to become a world-class team, and possibly vice versa as well, if they became sort of partners together, as well as, like I say, Serie A teams and Celtic generally, or Italian teams generally, and Celtic at all levels. Number 8, I thought this would be quite another thing I think about Mondays is like mischief Mondays. So I was thinking, I know I'm a big fan of Italian football generally, but I thought of a storyline which would be quite cheeky or mischievous from Inter Milan's point of view, and that is that Mbappe said if he was going to play in Serie A, it would be for AC Milan, and he's a big AC Milan fan. But I thought, wouldn't it be quite ironic if, I don't know if irony is the right word, it'd be kind of mischievous in a way if Inter Milan got that investment or it's a mischievous kind of thought. If Inter Milan got that investment, which I talked about, all those wealthy investors like Elon Musk, IBM, PIF even perhaps, and others investing in international companies investing in Inter Milan, and they bought Mbappe, and like they say, money talks. So what if he went to, even though he's a Milan fan, what if he went to their arch rivals? But yeah, I think that would be quite an interesting story. Would he follow the passion, or would he follow the money? And I think most footballers nowadays probably follow the money, to be honest. Number 9, I'd love to see how Inter's fans can connect with the club and everyone involved in the club. Again, I know it's an idea I talk about a lot, most of the time, but when it comes to football, but how can the fan base, the club's owners, any new owners, investors, shareholders, or whatnot, sponsors, even maybe managers, coaches, scouts, and whatnot, how can they connect with the fans? And I'd love to see, generally speaking, the best possible players, coaches, managers, scouts, and that kind of thing. Whatever it takes, basically, whatever it takes, makes a good football team be involved in Italian football for all possible Serie A teams, especially. And number 10, again, I hope they develop the youth, and any points I've forgotten, I hope fully include in parts 2, 3, and 4. And sorry if I went a bit over the time. I normally like to keep these videos down to about 10 minutes or less, so sorry if I did waffle on a bit, but I'd love to know what football fans, especially Inter Milan fans and Italian football fans and Celtic fans, think of these videos. In this case, Inter Milan fans especially, and I'm out. Peace and love.